Chapter 1. Why Sex Fades from Relationships After 60. When a couple crosses the threshold of age 60, their lives and relationships inevitably face new challenges. One of the most sensitive issues is the disappearance of sexual intimacy. As doctors and psychologists explain, there are many reasons for this. Dr. Maria Evdokimova, a well-known geriatrician, says, as we age, the body changes, hormone levels decrease, which affects desire and possibilities. But it is important to realize that the passing of sexual life does not mean the end of intimacy. Many couples feel guilt or embarrassment when they notice that intimacy is becoming less frequent. One of the main reasons is physiological changes. Men after 60 often experience erectile dysfunction, and women experience dryness and discomfort associated with menopause. These changes lead to psychological consequences, such as lowered self-esteem. Psychologist Andrei Karpov notes, with age, not only physical capability, but also self-confidence goes away. A person begins to think that he or she is no longer capable of being attractive and desirable. To the physiological reasons, social reasons are also added. In our culture, the topic of sex in old age is still taboo. Many grew up in a society where intimacy after a certain age was considered indecent or even unnecessary. Psychologist Lyudmila Romanova emphasizes, many older people live with the feeling that they no longer have the right to love and intimacy because society imposed it that way. This is a false attitude. An example of this is the story of a couple, Mikhail and Tamara, who have lived together for 35 years. When Mikhail turned 65, he stopped showing initiative. Tamara thought he had lost interest in her, but in fact, Mikhail was afraid of disappointing her. He was worried about his age because once he heard someone he knew joking, old people should only play chess, not lie in bed. When they finally talked openly, they realized that they both still wanted to be together, but just didn't know how to express intimacy differently. That conversation was a turning point. Tamara suggested starting with simple things, joint walks, cuddles before bedtime, small surprises. Mikhail agreed, and gradually there was warmth between them again. There is another category of people, those who have lost a partner. Many widows and widowers, having reached the age of 60 to 70, feel unnecessary and are sure that they can no longer have relationships. But in reality, they often feel the desire to be with someone, to feel warmth, care, and tenderness. The story of Galina, 67, illustrates this. Her husband died of a heart attack, and it took her a long time to recover. But one day, at a hobby club event, she met Anatoly. They began to communicate, and gradually sympathy arose. Galina was afraid of intimacy, believing that this is no longer about us. But over time she realized that she needed not something youthful, but simple human warmth. They became a couple, although there was no sexual activity in their lives. They were united by care and respect. Doctor's advice: it is important to talk openly about your fears and worries. This avoids misunderstandings and conflicts. It is better to say than to keep silent, says psychologist Natalia Serova. Sometimes a simple conversation can return intimacy much faster than medications and therapies. She also recommends that couples attend joint counseling sessions with psychologists or therapists, where they can openly discuss their problems and find new ways to preserve their relationship. Finally, feelings of shame should not be overlooked. Some older people feel ashamed to even think about intimacy. One man, 72 years old, confessed at a sexologist's appointment. I am embarrassed even in front of myself. I feel the urge, but I immediately feel guilty, like I'm doing something inappropriate. This is not uncommon. Sexologist Elena Mironova says, you need to understand that age is not an obstacle to desire. Shame is a social mechanism, not an objective truth. Allow yourself to be a living and feeling person. So there are many reasons for the fading of sexuality: physiology, psychology, social attitudes, illness, loneliness. But the main thing is to remember, it does not mean the end of love. It is just the beginning of a new stage where feelings can become even deeper if you allow yourself to be open and sincere. When a couple crosses the threshold of 60 years of age, their lives and relationships inevitably face new challenges. One of the most sensitive issues is the disappearance of sexual intimacy. As doctors and psychologists explain, there are many reasons for this. Dr. Maria Evdokimova, a well-known geriatrician, says, as we age, the body changes, hormone levels decrease, which affects desire and possibilities. But it is important to realize that the passing of sexual life does not mean the end of intimacy. Chapter 2. Emotional intimacy is the new foundation of a relationship. When sexual relationships fade into the background, couples must find new ways to maintain an emotional connection. Dr. Olga Petrovskaya, a doctor of psychology, emphasizes, true intimacy is not always physical contact. Much more important is emotional support and the feeling that you need each other. The story of Sergei and Valentina shows how important it is to switch to other forms of love. Valentina, after 60, began to avoid intimacy because she was uncomfortable. Sergei took it painfully at first, but gradually they began to arrange joint evenings over tea, go for walks, read aloud their favorite books. Their closeness has acquired a new depth. Psychologists note that emotional intimacy after 60 years is often even more important than physical intimacy because it allows to keep warm, trusting relationships for many years. Dr. Andrei Belyaev, a sexologist, emphasizes the importance of simple gestures. Hugs, holding hands, tender words. These are new ways to express your feelings. This is not a substitute for sex, but its deep emotional alternative. Psychologist Oksana Timoshenko advises couples to actively discuss their feelings and experiences, regularly share plans and dreams to maintain a close connection with each other. Valentina and Grigory's story is another example. After retirement, they had more time to socialize. They started a tradition of having a reminiscence day every Sunday when they looked at old photos, shared stories from their youth, and watched their wedding video. This strengthened their emotional bond and allowed them to look at each other anew as life partners, not just familiar roommates. Psychotherapist Irina Vlasova advises couples after 60 to include in their lives the practice of emotional response, to learn not just to hear, but to respond to the feelings of the partner. It can be a simple phrase, I understand you, a hug if your spouse is sad, or sincere admiration for small things, cooking, care, attention. There are also specialized psychological exercises. For example, mirror. When one partner for 3 minutes tells about his feelings and the second does not interrupt and then repeats the essence of what was said, showing that he heard. These simple exercises restore the feeling of mutual attention. The story of Alla and Ivan, together 42 years. We used to talk only about business. Now in the evenings we discuss movies, books, politics. Sometimes we argue, but that's life too. The main thing is that we hear each other and feel close to each other. Psychologists advise plan joint time, even if it seems that you have known each other for a long time. New activities and common interest will help keep you connected. It's important not to shut yourself off and keep exploring each other. Start small, going for a walk together, discussing a movie, cooking a new meal. Finally, one of the most powerful tools is gratitude. Studies show that couples who regularly thank each other feel more satisfaction from the relationship. Give thanks for caring, for paying attention, for the years gone by. Emotional intimacy is not only what you do, but how you talk about it. Emotional intimacy after 60 is not a compensation for lack of sex, but a full-fledged form of love. It is tenderness, attention, interest in each other. It is an opportunity to be heard and needed. And if you are open to each other, no age will not prevent you from maintaining warmth in the relationship. When sexual relationships fade into the background, couples must find new ways to maintain an emotional connection. Dr. Olga Petrovskaya, a doctor of psychology, emphasizes true intimacy is not always physical contact. Much more important is emotional support and the feeling that you need each other. The story of Sergei and Valentina shows how important it is to switch to other forms of love. Valentina, after 60, began to avoid intimacy because she was uncomfortable. Sergei took it painfully at first, but gradually they began to arrange joint evenings over tea, go for walks, read aloud their favorite books. Their closeness has acquired a new depth. Psychologists note that emotional intimacy after 60 years is often even more important than physical intimacy because it allows to keep warm, trusting relationships for many years. Dr. Andrei Belyaev, a sexologist, emphasizes the importance of simple gestures. Hugs, holding hands, tender words. These are new ways to express your feelings. This is not a substitute for sex, but its deep emotional alternative. Psychologist Oksana Timoshenko advises couples to actively discuss their feelings and experiences, regularly share plans and dreams to maintain a close connection with each other. Psychologists advise plan time together, even if it seems that you have known each other for a long time. New activities and common interests will help keep you connected. It is important. Chapter 3. How to maintain body contact without sex. When sexual activity becomes impossible or infrequent, it is important to maintain bodily intimacy. Dr. Evgeny Sokolov, a physical therapist, says, touch and physical contact are critical to human health. Even simple hugs and stroking reduce stress levels and improve overall well-being. An example of such care is the couple Nikolai and Ludmila. They made a habit of massaging each other's hands and feet every night. This small act has become their personal ritual that strengthens their bond. Psychologists also advise focusing on joint activities, such as yoga for seniors or dance classes, which help maintain physical closeness and improve well-being. Physiotherapist Olga Demidova recommends using aroma massage as a way to relax and improve the emotional background. Massage using essential oils such as lavender or orange helps not only the body, but also the soul, she notes. Simple rituals before bed, such as a warm bath for two, applying cream to each other's shoulders or back, can be part of the daily contact that maintains intimacy. Shared rituals are another way to maintain contact. For example, start a tradition of an evening hug before bedtime. Do morning exercises together. Go for a walk or Nordic walking together. Listen to music and move rhythmically to it, even without dancing. Stretch together. Psychologist Tatiana Shizova notes, when we touch our partner, the body releases oxytocin, the hormone of attachment. This reduces anxiety, improves mood, and increases the feeling of connection. She recommends not being afraid of physical contact, even in its simplest forms. Putting a hand on a shoulder, touching a face, hugging a waist. The story of Nina and Alexander, who are over 70, they drink tea every morning on the balcony, holding hands. According to Nina, sometimes it's more important than anything else. They have also started a tradition of an evening foot massage, which helps them relax and, they say, relieves not only fatigue, but also the distance accumulated during the day. Doctor's tip: try gentle massage, touch, and practicing yoga or dance together. This allows the body to stay toned and maintain a sense of closeness. Regular exercise done together strengthens not only the body, but also the emotional bond between partners. If one partner is hesitant or shy, start with light touches. Put your hand on your back, touch your shoulder, gently stroke your cheek. Sometimes the path to bodily intimacy begins with trust and a sense of security. And finally, even a simple sharing, lying next to each other, watching a movie, reading a book aloud, creates a physical sense of presence and support. The main thing is to be close, be open, and not be afraid to show your warmth and love through body contact. When sexual activity becomes impossible or infrequent, it is important to maintain bodily intimacy. Dr. Evgeny Sokolov, a physical therapist, says touch and physical contact are critical to human health. Even simple hugs and stroking reduce stress levels and improve overall well-being. An example of such care is the couple Nikolai and Ludmila. They made a habit of massaging each other's hands and feet every night. This small act has become their personal ritual that strengthens their bond. Psychologists also advise focusing on activities together, such as yoga for seniors or dance classes, which help maintain physical closeness and improve well-being. Doctor's tip: try gentle massage, touch, yoga, or dance classes together. This allows the body to stay toned and maintain a sense of intimacy. Regular exercise done together strengthens not only the body, but also the emotional bond between partners. Chapter 4: Psychology of Relationships. Advice from professionals. Dr. Anna Kravchenko, Ph.D. in psychology, states, the problem with most older couples is that they begin to take each other for granted. It is important to start seeing each other again as a person with whom you want to share your life. When the sexual component goes away, many couples experience fear. What is it that binds us together now? The answer is emotions, memories, shared past and present. All this is the basis on which to build a new model of love. The story of Victor and Alla shows that a crisis can become a new stage. After 45 years of marriage, they began to drift apart. Victor left his job. Alla was engaged in grandchildren. Communication was reduced to everyday life. But a visit to a family psychologist changed a lot of things. They were offered the practice of 3 words a day. Each of them had to say 3 words to their partner every day about what they were grateful for, what they valued, or what they wanted to get back. 2 months later, their relationship shone with new colors. Psychologist Igor Malinin advises the good morning and good evening technique. This is a simple habit where partners start and end the day with words of attention, rather than discussing problems. For example, how did you sleep? I'm glad you're around. Thanks for the day. These words restore a sense of each other's value. The story of Larissa and Gennady, both 68 years old, when they felt emotionally chilled, they decided to start writing a family diary together. Every evening, they wrote down what was pleasant, funny, or what they would like to change. This had an amazing result. They began to hear and understand each other much more deeply. Dr. Elena Mironova, a psychotherapist with 30 years of experience, says older couples are often afraid to talk about feelings. It seems that it is no longer necessary, but it's recognizing their emotions and needs that brings vibrancy back into the relationship. She advises using the mirror method. One person speaks, the other repeats the gist, then they discuss. This teaches listening rather than arguing. Another useful technique is memory questions. Partners take turns asking questions. Do you remember how we met? What were the happiest moments? What more would you like to do with me? This game not only awakens emotions, but also gives the feeling that there is much more to come. The story of a couple from Kaluga, Anatoly and Raisa. They have been together for 50 years. In an interview with a local newspaper, Raisa said, "We don't hold on to passion. We hold on to kindness. Every day is a choice to support, to listen, to understand. That's the whole formula." Anatoly added, "We've been laughing at the same jokes for 30 years. That's what intimacy is." Psychologist's advice: surprise each other. Write a letter, even if you live together. Make a surprise. Cook your favorite dish. Remember special dates. Let the little things become your love language. Finally, don't be afraid to ask for help. Family therapy is not a sign of a problem, but a path to renewal. As psychology professor Jan Kuzmina says, relationships at age are like an old garden. Somewhere you need to prune, somewhere you need to replant, and somewhere you just need to water with love and attention. The psychology of relationships after 60 is not a rejection of feelings, but their rethinking. And the more sincerity, care, and attention, the stronger the connection becomes. Because true love is not about passion, but about constancy, kindness, and the desire to go near despite everything. Doctor of Psychological Sciences Anna Kravchenko states, "The problem of most elderly couples is that they begin to take each other for granted. It is important to start seeing each other again as a person with whom you want to share your life." An example is the story of Victor and Alla, who were going through a crisis after 70. They visited psychologists and realized the importance of expressing gratitude and appreciating time together. They started writing notes to each other with warm words, making small gifts for no reason. This filled their relationship with new energy. Psychologists' advice: try to surprise each other, show attention and respect. Even a small gesture can mean a lot. It is also important to learn to hear and understand the desires and needs of your partner. Chapter 5. Tips and Stories of Those Who Have Succeeded. There are many inspiring examples of couples who have found new ways to be happy despite their age and lack of sexual relations. For example, the couple Andre and Margarita, who have been together for almost 50 years, tell us that the secret to their closeness is to be each other's best friend. They discuss books, share news, make each other tea, and cuddle before bed every day. "We don't need sex to feel like we're together," Marguerite says. We are there for each other. That's enough. The story of Raisa and Nikolai from Novosibirsk is touching to the core. After 40 years of marriage, Nikolai suffered a stroke, partially lost his mobility, and stopped believing in himself. Raisa, despite her fatigue and age, arranged little holidays for him every day. She peeled his favorite apples, played songs from their youth, and most importantly, never complained. They found closeness not in physics, but in devotion, kindness, and daily care. According to Raisa, intimacy is when you care, warm and calm, next to a person, even in silence. Psychologist Elena Aksenova emphasizes in her writings, couples who have survived decades often lose interest in physical forms of intimacy, but acquire a new quality, mental attunement. This is when one feels the other almost without words. Studies have shown that such couples demonstrate higher levels of mutual support and relationship satisfaction than even young lovers. Another interesting example is the story of Hans and Edith from Germany. They are both in their 80s and met after they had experienced the loss of their spouses. In an interview, Hans says, "We both just wanted a friend, but we found something more than that. In the evening, we hold hands and are silent. That's our love language." Their story confirms that true intimacy has no age. It can be born at any age, even after 70, 80, and 90. Psychologist Alexei Rozhkov recommends the technique Evening of Gratitude. Every night before going to bed, partners share what they are grateful to each other for. It can be something small. Thank you for setting the table. Thank you for reminding me about the medication. Such phrases bring back a sense of meaningfulness and participation and strengthen the inner bond. A Harvard University study, one of the longest in history, showed that the quality of human relationships is one of the key factors in longevity and overall life satisfaction. Not money, not success, but the feeling of connection with another person. And for the elderly, this is especially important. Another approach proposed by British psychologist Richard Wiseman is 3 minutes of silence. This is an exercise in which partners sit next to each other, hold each other's hands, and simply remain silent, looking at each other. It allows you to re-establish contact on a nonverbal level and feel that you are not alone. Final tip, it's never too late to find a new approach to relationships. Be open, talk about your feelings, give thanks, and care. Intimacy has many forms, from laughing together and reminiscing to touching in quiet evening tea. Psychologist Irina Lebedeva summarizes, love after 60 is not only romance. It is deep friendship, respect, and the daily choice to be close to each other. Couples who realize this become happier and stronger every year. Continue to believe in the power of love and intimacy to sustain you throughout your life. And remember, being close is already a priceless gift. There are many inspiring examples of couples who have found new ways to be happy despite age and lack of sexual relationships. The couple, Andre and Margarita, who have been together for almost 50 years, said that the secret of their closeness is to be each other's best friends. Psychologist Irina Lebedeva summarizes, love after 60 is not only romance, it is deep friendship and respect. Couples who realize this become happier and stronger every year. A final piece of advice, it's never too late to find a new approach to relationships. Be open, talk about your feelings, and remember that intimacy has many forms. True love and care will always find their way to each other. Continue to believe in the power of love and intimacy that can sustain you throughout your life.